You know, if you lost by a stare, you can win by a stare. And I think I can help you.
You?
Yeah, me. You should have seen some of the guys I had to play hardball with in the boardroom. After I stared them down, they were walking around cross-eyed.
Oh, well, you're one tough mama there, Angela. Who?
Yo.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to...
Hey, yo. No way.
The Who's the Boss podcast. I'm Tori.
I'm Kevin.
And we are here to rewatch and discuss every single episode of Who's the Boss.
We got a voicemail.
Hey, Tori and Kevin, it's Jamie. I have some thoughts on Hit the Road, Chad. I don't understand why Samantha had the authority to tell Angela not to use it. I mean, I get Angela wanted to be nice and it's painful to Samantha, fine. But it's Chad's song, right? He wrote it, so he owns, I guess, sort of the rights to it. So it would be his decision whether they use it or not Sam, right? Like, I don't really know how that works or anything, but I didn't understand how Sam had the authority to tell them not to use it. Another thought I had is that Angela wasn't, I don't think, that upset about the fact that Sam said Angela's not her mother and can't tell her what to do. You guys kind of skipped over a part, and I don't mean this to be critical, but there was a part that you guys didn't talk about where before Sam runs up the stairs to her room, she says to Angela, "We're not even friends." I think that's what Angela was upset about. Angela knows she's not Sam's mother, so it wouldn't make sense for her to be that upset over that comment, but it would make sense that she would be upset over Samantha saying they aren't friends. My last comment about Hit the Road, Chad, is that Ray Charles seemed to like going on these sitcoms, or at least he was doing them a bit back in the day. He had a reoccurring character on The Nanny in the 90s. He was Fran's grandmother's boyfriend for like 4 episodes. And there they made similar blind jokes. There's an episode when he brings his nephew over to audition for Broadway, supposedly, and Fran says, "Sammy, what are you doing here?" Sammy is Ray Charles' character. And he says, "Well, someone had to drive my nephew over." So he seemed to enjoy doing that sort of thing. Well, those are all my comments. I'm enjoying the podcast. Bye.
Thank you, Jamie, so much for the voice message.
Yeah, thanks. It's always exciting to get a voicemail.
It is. Okay, so the thing about Chad's song, so the way I saw it was that Samantha basically wanted Angela to go back to Sturdy Boy and be like, "Don't use this song," I think. Like at some point, Sturdy Boy and the Bauer agency had gone to Chad and asked him for the rights.
Right.
He probably said yes. And now she wanted Angela to like take that back. It was a ridiculous ask all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, the clients, Angela deals with, I don't know, $1 million clients a day. Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't use a song anymore.
Right. Like, I guess that's kind of what she even said too. Like, am I going to go to Sturdy Boy and be like, "Listen, we can't use Chad's song because he kissed Susie Sherman," or whatever.
Right.
And then, yes, I totally forgot the sisters. You said we're sisters. We're not even friends. I had totally forgotten that line when we did
I know.
it.
How did we forget that? That's
I don't know,
a crucial line.
I know, and I remember that one a lot from when we rewatched it. But
I would probably blame that on me.
I'll go with that.
Because I'm sure I derailed whatever part of the episode was with something really stupid.
No, I think I was so focused on the mom yell that Angela pulled out there that I think I just got sidetracked. But yeah, so I totally agree that at this point she's probably more upset that Samantha is saying that they're not even friends.
Oh, okay.
There is a later episode where Samantha makes like the vaguest reference to Angela being her mother figure, and Angela gets all teary-eyed because she called her mother. It doesn't take much for Angela. And then also, I did so much research on Ray Charles's music career that I didn't even look at his IMDb. And you are so right. The man was in everything.
Wow.
He was even in an episode of Moonlighting, which I probably should have remembered that.
I know. I feel
Wings.
like you just even saying that, I remember him in Moonlighting, because I watched, much like you did too, I watched a lot of Moonlighting as a kid.
St. Elsewhere, Wings.
Wow.
The John Larroquette Show, and then 4 episodes of The Nanny, like you mentioned. Yeah. So, yeah, I must have just, I don't know, maybe he always wanted to be an actor.
It's interesting.
Yeah, he was good. I
a
remember
good agent.
him on, I remember him on The Nanny, too. And he was very personable and adorable, so good for him. Okay, so today we are going to cover Season 3, Episode 17. The title is Raging Housekeeper. It first aired February 10th, 1987, and the TV Guide summary says, Tony boxes a vicious teacher in the Parents Association Olympics. Really? That's what it was called? Former boxing champ Thomas Hearns plays Wilbur.
I know, Wilbur.
This episode was written by Don Aldredge and Judith Bustani, 2 names that we have heard before. There was something I just wanted to bring up. Oh, yes. So the title of this episode is obviously a play on the movie Raging Bull.
Yeah.
Which I looked that up.
Okay.
And it seems like it's almost the most depressing movie.
Yeah,
There's another movie we're going to discuss in this podcast today that's possibly more depressing. But the Raging Bull one, it's like he's a fighter and then...
Yeah, it's from De Niro.
Yes, Robert De Niro. Mm-hmm. I've never seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah, and it's all in black and white, right?
Oh, really? I don't know.
I think so. Oh. I think the whole thing is shot in black and white. Wait a minute, is it Scorsese? Oh, I should know that.
I don't know. I don't have it pulled up right now.
I don't either.
Okay.
I'm just pulling
we can go back to it, but yeah. So the title is a play on words for us. So we're on to them now with Hit the Road, Chad, and Raging Housekeeper. They're not going to get any more biased.
Raging Bull was out in 1980, so it was fair. I mean, probably.
Yeah, it was
because it was one of those that became an instant cult classic, I believe.
So now when this episode opens, there's a little bit of a different format to this episode structure, which is that it starts at the end. So we see...
I wanted to bring this up. This is what I was saying the other day. I had something to point out, that I thought it was kind of neat that this episode started out this way.
Yeah, it's the first
because
time
I don't know, sure, a lot of episodes in the 80s even started out this way, but every single one of these episodes just play right in order. There's never a whoa, what's going on here? And then, a narration of how did we get here? So I thought that was kind of cool about this episode. Like
when we see this now, this is a structure that's used quite a lot and maybe even too much, but maybe this wasn't in 1987.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to pause because we have to let the cat in somebody's room or she's not going to stop screaming.
All right.
Okay, we're back. So it starts off with Tony about to get into the ring of a boxing match. He's wearing a little blue silk robe that says Madman Micelli on it. And Angela is dressed like his trainer. And he's saying, I can't get in there. And she's like, well, of course you can't. You're wearing those very large boxing gloves.
I know. And I know. And actually, really quick, before we get too much further in, another kind of neat part of this episode was that the opening scene is like a handheld camera. So it's kind of like a very personal, like they're down in the crowd and it's you can tell it's a handheld camera. It even looks like a little bit of a different kind of camera than they would normally use because since it was handheld, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It actually looked kind of neat.
They're also going to show an aerial shot that we don't normally see at one point during the boxing match. And it was very much like a boxing match where he's coming out and it's kind of a handheld camera as he's coming at you. Yeah,
like how they do that with normal fights.
Right.
Like they try to reenact that, which I thought that was kind of cool too.
So Tony's basically telling Angela, no, I can't do this because I'm scared. And she's like, you got to get in the ring. So she coaxes him into the ring. The announcer gets in there and, he's getting started. And when his opponent comes out, he's very scared. But it's like we're confused at this point as to why Tony's so scared about what's going on because,
Right, because it's episode started and he's going in a boxing ring. Like, what's going on?
Right.
What happened?
Yeah, well, like this is normal for Tony. So this guy introduces himself as Sid. He's the announcer and he's also the owner of this gym. And he goes on this whole spiel about no smoking while he's smoking cigar.
Please notice the no smoking signs. And then he posts a cigar. It's world famous Sids.
Right. So
and then he said, I love when he says, "Welcome to world famous Sids. I'm world famous Sid."
and look at his little bow tie too.
I know.
So now we're going to get a narration of what's going on inside Tony's head.
Can I actually mention something about Sid before we go any further?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I noticed, I was telling you that I looked him up. He's still alive. And the reason I said that, you think, like, gosh, why is he saying he's still alive? Because he's 83 now, but he looked like he was 63 in this episode.
I know, he really does.
So I'm like, oh my God, he must be like 98. And I looked and he's 83.
Oh, poor guy.
So Sid
I'm sorry, what's his name?
And the other thing is funny is in the credits, he's just Sid. There's no last name.
Yeah, there is no last name.
But his real name is
Richard Ferrangi.
Richard Ferrangi.
Yes.
They should have gone with his real name. That could have been one of Tony's.
I know. And
Richard Ferrangi.
For some reason, I had in my head that Tony Danza had some sort of affiliation with a gym that was owned by a guy named Sid. But I must have gotten it confused. But we're basically we're getting this episode because Tony Danza used to be a boxer. I found a Washington Post article from 1979.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was about how he did like some sort of boxing match after he had started on Taxi.
Right, I think I remember that you telling me about that.
Yeah, so he went to college and I guess like a friend signed him up for a fight as like a joke. And he fought, and then he ended up fighting middleweight. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so he boxed middleweight for a while, and then at some point during a match, a TV producer was in the audience, saw him, and was like, that guy's face is way too good looking for this. So he had him audition for Taxi.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you said he fought when he started Taxi, before he started.
Before he started, and then I think he did some things afterwards.
Okay,
but like
a while ago. I know you had told me about that.
Yeah. So
that's incredible. So like maybe if he never would have started his boxing career, he never would have gotten an acting career.
Yeah, really interesting. And I don't know exactly what he went to college for, but I think he went maybe for some sort of education because teaching has always been a passion for him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But yeah, then like he was doing odd jobs after college, started boxing, and then just became an actor. Like it's so bizarre that like people come out here and work so hard. We see all these character actors who just are working and working and working to try to get on some show. And then for other people, they're just kind of plucked out of a boxing ring.
Yes, I'm sure that happens quite a bit.
But even in the article, they basically say, like, he just had a glow around him. Like, there are some people that are just kind of meant to be TV stars.
And then Tony Danza is one of them.
Yep. So now he's going to bring that to Who's the Boss. So I'm sure this had to be his idea. Like,
oh, yeah.
I got a great idea.
Good idea for a show.
Let's do
I'll be there with my shirt off.
Okay, so now in Tony's head, he's like, what have I done? How did this all get started? So now we're going to go back in time. We got a little dream sequence, and we're going to go back to figure out how all of this started. And it all started out so innocently with them trying to plan a fundraiser for the Parent-Teacher Association. Now, why they're...
Okay. Yeah. Okay, well, go ahead, because maybe you have the same question I have about this.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, my question is, why the school in Brooklyn?
Yes, that's my question.
Okay, so that is your question. Yeah.
Yes,
like, I don't understand.
And I almost didn't ask because I thought maybe I missed something when I watched the episode 3 times. And I'm like, why are they having a fundraiser for a school in Brooklyn that Tony is what is he
Oh, well, he's the parent. He's the president of the PTA here in Connecticut. But I guess he knows this Melva, who must be the president of the Parent-Teacher Association back in his old neighborhood.
Okay, so they're trying to help raise money for the old neighborhood.
I think they're raising money for both. Like,
okay.
I think they're just teaming up to try to raise money together.
Okay, well then another question is, how does she know Philly Fingers? And why did she ride with him to Connecticut?
That is a very good question.
I feel like they just
Because-
threw Philly Fingers in this episode. Like, who's going to drive Melva to Connecticut?
Why
Not
can't
Philly
Melva
Fingers.
drive herself? Philly Finger
Does Philly Fingers have a kid in the school system?
Not that we've ever seen.
This whole thing is so confusing.
The
to me.
last time we saw Philly Fingers, he had gotten thrown out of his house because he hadn't come home from New Year's Eve or something.
Yeah,
months
2 weeks later, months
Yeah.
later.
So those are all fantastic questions, and unfortunately, I don't have answers to any of them.
Completely threw me from. Like, I'm just trying. A lot happened in that few minutes, and I just was like, I don't know. It made no sense to me, especially why Philly Fingers is involved.
So Melva is the president of the Brooklyn Parent Teacher Association.
Yeah, that's
I guess
fine.
they only have one for the entire all of Brooklyn.
Okay.
And then, so they also introduce Melva and Philly to Wendy Whitner. So Wendy Whitner is back. Why Wendy is there, I don't even know. I'm
maybe
sorry. She's
she's-
like the treasurer or something. For
Right.
the Parent Teacher Association.
But the funny thing is, I like the line when Angela asks Melva if they've hit any traffic, and she just says a Winnebago or whatever. Like, she names 2 cars that Philly Fingers probably clipped on the way here.
And then I love that Wendy asks him, is it Mr. Finger or Fingers?
I know, that's funny. And then she was like, "What do you do?"
Yeah, he says it's plural. And then she asks him what he does for a living. And he
Why,
says,
what have you heard?
Yeah, why, what have you heard?
It's pretty funny. Very Philly Fingers.
So Tony said that he had this idea to bring these two associations together to raise money, and he also wanted to get rid of some of the leftovers that were still in the freezer from New Year's Eve. So it's only February 10th, so I guess that's not that gross.
I guess not. Yeah.
So they're trying to decide. Oh, it does say the Parent-Teacher Olympics. Okay, it did say that. I was confused by that. So they're trying to
Parent-Teacher Olympics.
come up with some sort of event where they can raise money. So they're talking about archery or bowling. Like, they're throwing out a few different ideas. And then somebody mentions boxing. I think it's Philly Fingers. And Tony's like,
because he's like, why don't we do something real or whatever?
Right, real big. And Tony's like, oh, no, like, let's hold back on the boxing. And Angela starts saying how she thinks it's brutal, it's not a very good activity. But Melva's like, wait a minute here. We really, we need a blockbuster event, so this really could be a good idea. And Angela brings up the fact that she and Tony are opposed to boxing.
Right. To make Tony show that he's real soft now that he's moved to Connecticut.
And Philly's like, really? What does he say? We don't engage in that kind of behavior or
Right, or
whatever. And he's
activity
like,
or-
he used to engage all over the place.
Yeah, all over the old neighborhood.
But Wendy says that her husband could box because he used to box the Herb, this elusive Herb that we've never met, never will. He used to box under the name Kid Novocaine. And Melva says
Novocaine, I love that.
that is it Melva's little brother?
Her little brother.
Yeah, Wilbur, who is a typing teacher. He boxes also. So Tony's like, well, wait a minute. All right, we can do this. It's a typing teacher and a dentist. Like, how bad can this be? And
Herb.
Mona's like, well, if someone gets their tooth knocked out, Herb can put it back in, and then Wilbur can type up the insurance claim.
Yeah, right.
Meanwhile, why is Mona there? What does she care about any of this?
I don't know. Just to be part of the...
Yeah, just wants to get in on the action.
Yeah.
So
Why is Philly Fingers there? Who knows? We don't... Questions we
we
have no answers to.
You're right. And I don't know why I didn't question it earlier. I guess I just figured he knew Melva.
The old neighborhood, Melva doesn't have a car?
Maybe that's his new girlfriend after he got kicked out of the house.
I don't know. It was really baffling to me.
So now they get to the gym, and it's in Brooklyn. So it's in Tony's old neighborhood. He knows Sid. Sid is the owner of the gym. Mm-hmm. So the whole family's gone down there to meet Sid and for these two boxers to get in the ring together for the first time. And Mona's very nicely dressed to go to a gym in Brooklyn.
Yeah, she is.
She asked Sid, do you
Always
give away
dressed.
free samples? And he says, I was just going to ask you the same thing.
Of course, Sid sees something in Mona immediately.
Yep, always. And also, I thought it was cute when Tony introduces Angela, he says, "This is my boss." And then when Sid asks, "Who's the doll?" referring to Mona, he says, "That's my boss-in-law."
Yeah, that was pretty funny. That
That's
was
really
good.
cute. Then he introduces Jonathan, and Jonathan wants to know if he can check out the equipment. Jonathan's going to get pummeled in here.
I know.
And then he's like, "And you remember Sam?" So this is someone that Sam would have known when she was younger. And he wants her to punch him in the stomach like she used to. And she's like, "I don't know. I'm too old for that." And then she punches him
Right, just
anyway.
socks him right in the gut. Puts Sid down almost, lays him out.
Yeah.
Not lays him out, but he's all bent over.
Knocks the wind out of him. So now Wendy comes in.
Well, first, so I thought one little side note. I thought it was really cute at that point when Jonathan calls him Mr. Sid.
Yeah, I know.
Mr. Sid, can we go look at your stuff, your equipment or whatever? Mr. Sid. He's trying to be all nice.
Yes. He doesn't have a last name, so.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. So now Wendy comes in, and if you're thinking, "Oh, we're going to finally meet Herb, here we go," you're wrong.
No.
So she comes in and says, they ask her, "Where's Herb?" And she says, "He threw his back out." So he's,
Oh, so we have it's a new thing. We've added background music to the podcast. And so we'll play every once in a while. No, the cat
that's
has
our
just
cat.
walked across the piano.
And so Tony's like, well, Tony and Angela say to Wendy, "What does that mean?" And she says, "It means we can't have sex." But that's nothing new.
But that's nothing new,
And
right?
he's
No
not-
loss there.
And we don't have anyone to replace him. I mean, for the boxing.
Yeah.
So they're
I don't
ready
think
to
I
leave.
got that the first time.
Yeah. So now they're ready to leave. That's it. Olympics are over.
Yeah. We're
So
moving
then-
on.
Wendy, who I guess valeted her car to run in here for 22 seconds, asked Sid, like, "Who do I get my car back from?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
So Wendy got her car stolen.
He's like, "You drove this car to this neighborhood?"
So as they're getting ready to leave, they're trying to round up Mona, who's giving someone her phone number. She's like, "I was just teaching this guy how to dial my number." So I don't know if that means that he's like so dumb he can't dial, or she was just telling him the number.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about that one. And immediately, like, I thought, what's so funny about that is I thought that I was thinking they had cell phones for a moment. Like,
Oh yeah, like
oh,
putting the
teach me how to
number
dial my
in.
number. Like they were looking at a cell phone. I mean, they don't show that, but I'm in my mind, and I'm like, oh wait,
Yes.
no, they would actually have to.
I think I was thinking that
Write-
as well.
write down the
until
number.
right now.
Yeah.
Cat.
Now the
get out
cat's
here.
up here on the.
Okay. Now you're in front of I can't see the screen. This is not good podcasting. Where's the
No.
play button? So they're trying to round up Mona. They want to leave. And Sid's like, "Wait a minute here. Tony, you used to box. Why don't you do it?" And Angela gets in immediately with, "We are philosophically
opposed to boxing. Now you philosopher. That's what Sid says. Now you're a philosopher.
And Tony's like, I really want to be the sensitive man that you need me to be, but I need you to stop embarrassing me right now."
Funny.
And he's like, "Oh, no, okay, hang on. I mean, he's trying to say that he doesn't want to do it, but he's not really opposed to it." And Sid's like, "You used to love mopping people up."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm not a kid anymore." And so then Sid asks him, "When did you become a cream puff?"
Yeah. And then at that point, Samantha socks him in the gut. Again.
Right, yes. And then pulls him aside and says, "Dad, you're becoming a cream
Yeah,
puff."
you're turning into a cream puff.
So this is a joke we would not hear anymore.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah, because that term is known for being used for a gay man.
Yeah, homosexual.
Now, there's an episode of Modern Family that I caught. So Mitchell and Cam are a couple on that show. They adopt a daughter, and at some point they're on a plane with their daughter.
Right.
Cam's holding her, and Mitchell's like putting their luggage away, and a woman gets on the plane, and she's like, "Look at that baby with the two cream puffs." And Mitchell gets really offended, and he goes to say something to the woman, and Cam's like, no. And they show a shot of the baby, and she's eating two cream puffs.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
So, like in that context, it's still a funny joke. But to actually call someone a cream puff is just offensive.
Right.
So we're not going to use that anymore.
Right, because it's showing that she was what he thought was being very offensive, but it was literally a baby with 2 cream puffs. My gosh.
Okay, so then they're trying to get Tony to agree to do the fight. And so finally he gets pressured in and Sid's like, you're bad. You're mean. And now old Tony's back and Angela's clutching her pearls. And so he's like, he decides he's going to do it. So he gets in the ring.
I felt uncomfortable for Tony in this scene because when he's saying he's mean, he's like clenching his teeth and he looks kind of stupid. Yeah, I mean. It's like, but he's not actually really acting that mean.
I know.
I don't know. It's just
a very silly Tony
uncomfortable
move.
scene.
Right.
Yeah. It is very silly.
But he's all puffed up. He gets in there. He's feeling good about himself. And he's like, come on, a typing teacher? I can take that. And he's saying that he's going to mess up his margins. And he's making fun of him. And then the typing teacher walks in.
Yeah.
And it is an actual boxer named Thomas Hearns.
Yep. I didn't know who that was.
Yeah, either did I, but I'm not surprised because I don't really know anything about
he was
boxing.
probably big at the time, and someone's probably yelling at the radio right now, or whatever device they listen to this on.
But the radio.
Well, I was thinking car radio.
The car.
Through their phone, through the radio. They're yelling at their transistor radio right now.
And then Wilbur hears Tony making fun of him. Punches. What is that? What is that bag?
It's a punching bag.
A weight bag? Okay.
Yes. No, wait. Is a punching bag a?
See,
that's
I
a
thought the
small
punching
one.
bag was the little one.
Yeah. What is that? What are the big? What's the big one?
I want to say body bag, but I feel like that's not
no,
right
I don't
either.
think that's right.
So he punches it so hard that it splits open and sand goes everywhere. And Tony says, "That's gonna hurt."
I know that is funny when he's like, "That's gonna hurt."
All right. So now we have. Angela,
and then the next scene, Tony's baking a cake.
Yes, of course.
Cakes.
Yes. Now Tony's in the kitchen, and it's so cute. Angela's sitting on the counter, and she's wearing, it must be a weekend, because she's got her casual jeans on.
Super casual.
Some kind of large turtleneck sweatshirt sweater, and she's licking the mixers.
With the chocolate.
Yeah, while he is baking. Very cute. And Tony's doing voiceover in his head again as the fight got closer and stuff.
Right.
So Mona comes in. She has a surprise for him. And it is the robe that he'll be wearing at the fight that says Madman Micelli. And Angela, who still is very opposed to all this, is like, oh, that's just so tactless and...
Yeah, it's like tasteless. What is that? Tasteless
Yeah.
robe or whatever it was.
Yeah, and he said, and Mona's like, "Oh, good. I wasn't sure if it was right, but if Angela's offended by it, then Mona
nailed
she
it.
did a good job." So Tony doesn't want to say that he doesn't want to do this fight, and Angela's telling him, it's not too late to back out, and he says it is too late. Publicity already started, and
publicity,
right?
It's all over
It's all over Fairfield
the
and Pitkin Avenue or wherever he's from. And Angela's like, okay, well, if you are going to do this, then are you planning on training for it? Because I don't want to see you get PO'd.
Which is funny. Yeah. PO'd.
And Tony says that's KO'd. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, whatever. So now Tony's going to tell her a very sad story about why he doesn't want to box. And Angela's like, oh, wait a minute. I think I've heard this story before. And she starts reciting a John Wayne movie. So I had to look this movie up. She says, I saw this once with John Wayne. He was a young fighter, and he hit someone so hard that the person died. And after that, he was just like grief-stricken, and he couldn't deal with it. So he died a sad man or whatever. So I looked this movie up. It is called The Quiet Man, and it is from 1952. So at first I was like, wow, Angela's really digging deep for this movie because she would have only been 3.
Right.
But then I thought, what movie came out when I was 3? And it was Grease. So I was like, okay, I could see she probably...
That'd be from her childhood.
This would have been from her childhood, definitely. But yeah, the summary is... Sean Thornton has returned from America to reclaim his homestead and escape his past. Sean's eye is caught by Mary Kate Donaher, a beautiful but poor maiden, and younger sister of ill-tempered Red Will Donaher. The riotous relationship that forms between Sean and Mary punctuated by Will's pugnacious attempts to keep them apart, form a main plot, with Sean's past as the dark undercurrent.
Ooh.
Yeah, this seems like a not a very good summary. But yeah, basically he like beats somebody up and then he goes back to Ireland to try to like escape it. But
Okay.
instead he like falls into this relationship, and I think like somebody doesn't want to give him the dowry. Anyway, it just seems like a sad, pathetic movie. Doesn't seem like it has a happy ending. But it also
unlike
seems,
Grease.
right. Nobody flies away in a car at the end. So he's like, okay, no, that's not at all the story. And she's like, but that was a very good movie. So the real story is that he's the one that got punched so hard and everyone made fun of him and it scarred him for life. And he just doesn't want to, he's never gotten back in a ring again after that. So
We learn the backstory.
yes. But he said that the guy stared him down and it scared him so much. So Angela's like, well, if you lost with a stare, then you could win with a stare. And she decides that she's going to help train him because she deals with men all the time in the boardroom and she can stare them down so that they're quivering afterwards. And or cross-eyed is what she says. And Tony's like, oh, you're one tough mama. And then this is your absolute favorite part of the episode.
Yeah.
Angela says,
Yo. That's so funny. I got a kick out of that one. I rewound it a couple times. She's like, yo.
oh, Angela.
It's like, it's so funny.
So she says, I'm going to be your trainer. And he thinks that's pretty funny. So funny that he keeps smacking the oven over and over and over
I
again.
know, annoyingly.
It is so annoying. Like, it's very loud when he keeps smacking the oven. And then she starts staring at him, and he gets all scared. And then he says, hello, trainer. Oh, and he says, who are you, Angela Dundee?
Oh, right. And then
I
so
wonder if you
that
can hear the rain. Can you hear the rain?
I don't know.
Probably.
We'll find out later. Yeah, because when he said that, I was a little dumbfounded by that one because I thought, okay, Angela Dundee, is a crocodile.
That's what I thought too.
Because remember we were like Crocodile Dundee, and
it hadn't come out.
and then
It had
like
come
was
out, like,
Crocodile
a few years before.
Like I
was like, was he a boxer?
I didn't know much about that movie. I knew he wasn't a boxer, but I'm like, is he a trainer?
Yeah, I didn't
know he trains crocodiles. But then after digging a little deeper, I came up with Angelo Dundee.
Right.
So, which is kind of funny because he said Angela
You're right.
Dundee.
That makes way more sense.
Angelo Dundee was a 20th century American boxer, trainer, and cornerman. He's internationally known for his work with Muhammad Ali. He also worked with 15 other world boxing champions, including Sugar Ray Leonard, so on and so forth. So he worked with like the biggest boxers of their time. So George Foreman.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess boxing, and actually he died in Tampa, Florida. It's kind of interesting, but only because I'm from there. That's where I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense because he was a trainer. Angela. So it's kind of funny actually at the time, and I'm sure he was probably pretty well known because. I feel like boxing was really pretty big in the 80s and the 90s.
Right.
I just remember watching boxing matches all the time. Like,
I never watched a boxing match.
well,
So even
like
when
my
I
dad,
watched this the first time,
family
I
would
probably
get together or whatever.
Right.
We'd watch, and friends, and they'd watch boxing. So I think it was just a bigger thing. So people probably really knew who this Angelo Dundee was.
Anyone who wasn't a child, or at least me as a child, because I probably still was like, Crocodile Dundee? Even
Right.
then.
It made no sense.
Yeah.
No one, you wouldn't have gotten that joke.
Now we go into a montage with the song Just One Look by Linda Ronstadt, right?
Yeah, I guess it's the Linda Ronstadt version. I'm learning that there was an
There's
original.
a few versions.
Yes.
And Angela is training Tony. So he's jumping rope. She's
That's so silly.
She's having him eat Wheaties.
Because that's what you did in the 80s. You ate Wheaties.
All of this had to have been, obviously this was pre-taped because it was a montage, but for one reason only, which was they would have never gotten Judith Light to be able to change her clothes this many times because she's wearing something different in every clip.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Now, Wheaties was a big thing in the 80s, right? It was like...
Well, everything's always eat your Wheaties.
Eat your Wheaties,
Yeah, because
right.
Wheaties made you big and strong.
Right.
Meanwhile, what was in Wheaties?
I don't know, a lot of carbs. That's
Yeah.
all. And then Tony's like punching. Oh, I can't talk tonight. Punching the bag, and Angela's drawn eyes on it, so it's staring at him. Then he's cleaning the mirror in like the foyer area, and she's standing behind him, staring at him when he wipes it.
I know, it's strange.
I know, but I have to say the lighting on Judith's face is fantastic.
I know, they
here.
did a good job of that.
It's like there was a ring light. Her skin looks flawless. Then she's holding the little pallets or whatever those are.
Oh, yeah.
And he's punching, and then he hits her hand, and she hits herself in the face. But then she stares him down again. And she's got the pigtails. Anytime it's like athletic Angela, the pigtails come out.
That's funny. But
So-
yeah, it's just funny the way she's looking at him. It's just funny.
So now we're showing that time has passed. He's been training, and finally she's trying to stare him down, but he wins, and she throws herself on the couch crying. And he throws his arms up in the air with the stupidest look on his face.
I know. The look that he gives her to get her to like fall down or whatever on the couch is a stupid look too. It's just goofy looking, but yeah, once he's like smiling, it's so ridiculous.
And even his narration says, "Why did I look so happy?" So now it's the night of the fight. So we're back to where the beginning of the episode started. And Wilbur has gotten in the ring, and they're getting ready to fight here. So Tony is still really scared. Sid comes out and starts announcing. Mona comes out. Oh, first Sid comes out and he announces Tony and Wilbur. And they cut to the kids, and you hear Samantha say, "That's my dad."
Yeah.
And Jonathan says, "That's my housekeeper." And then Wendy Whitner says, "That's my fantasy."
Wait, good old Wendy.
I know. Then, wait, let's talk about Wendy here for a minute, because this is the last episode she's going to be in.
Oh, I was wondering. I knew it was coming up. And I couldn't remember which one it was.
Yeah, this is it. So I looked up where she went, and she went to work on a show called The Charmings. Do you remember this show?
Nope.
Okay. So I didn't either, but I watched the first episode on YouTube
Okay, of course you did.
the other night, and it is the story of Snow White. So it's basically at the end of Snow White, somehow Snow White and Prince Charming and their children and the evil queen all get thrown into the 80s. And so they
Oh my
move to
God,
Los
this
Angeles.
is already sounds ridiculous.
But the interesting thing was that it was written and created by Prudence Fraser and Robert Sternin.
Oh.
Yes, so they were probably
Maybe they
like,
pitched a show, had her in mind for the...
Yeah, so she doesn't play, so she plays the neighbor. She basically plays Wendy Whitner. That type of character.
Gotcha.
She's not quite as horny as Wendy is all the time in the first episode anyway, but like she has kind of a dorky husband, and she comes over a lot. So yeah, so Snow White and Prince Charming have 2 sons, and they live in this house, and her name is Sally, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds out there.
So if you would like to watch this show, there were only 2 seasons from 87 to 88.
What network? ABC?
Oh.
Sorry.
You know what? I'm going to say yes, because it would be odd for them to sell a show to a different network working on an ABC show.
Right,
but-
that's what I was thinking too. Same
I-
writers.
I'm-
But
yeah,
who knows?
I'm not actually positive. But yeah, it's pretty cheesy. So yeah, so that's why we won't see. But then like once the show was over, why didn't they have Wendy ever come back? Unless she went on and was doing other stuff and was just too busy. I don't know.
Maybe it was like the Ropers. You know, when the Ropers left,
Right.
you can't come back. No, it's true.
Well, it's a good thing that when we'll get there, because there's going to be a Mona spin-off episode later this season. So it's a good thing that
that's right.
that episode didn't work out. Okay, so now they're getting ready to fight, and then Mona comes out, and she's holding up some sign for round 1. And again, they go back to the kids, and Samantha says, "That's Mona." And Jonathan says, "That's my grandma." And Sid, who's now sitting on the sideline, says, "That's my fantasy."
I know, my gosh. Okay, Sid.
And-
you calm down, Sid.
But let me just say, God bless Katherine Hellman. She looks fantastic in that dress.
Yeah.
And her boobs are out of control. And she's in her 60s at this point. So
Really? 60s?
I would think so.
Oh, I thought they was in their 50s.
I mean, maybe late 50s.
Still, though,
She was born in 1929, and we are now in 1987. I'm terrible with math, but 58, right? Around there? Okay, so...
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Exactly. Your math is correct.
So now Melva tells Wilbur, don't kill them all at once because people paid for 3 rounds.
God.
And Tony's just like, he's terrified. He doesn't want to do this at all. So they start fighting, and he's like, first he's not doing so well. He's laying on the ground because he's been punched by Wilbur. He looks over and he sees what he thinks are his kids, Samantha, Jonathan, and Sid all Wendy all laughing at him. But then he shakes his head and realizes that they're cheering him on. He's getting scared here. So he gets back up and he goes and tries again. And I keep getting so grossed out by the fact that every time he goes over to Angela.
Oh, yeah, the mouthpiece.
Yeah, she's
Right.
like taking that mouthpiece out of his mouth.
Right, and he's holding it.
Yeah. And I don't know who I'm more grossed out for, Judith Light or Angela.
I know. No.
I'm going to say
gross,
Judith Light. But I feel like Judith Light's the type of person that doesn't care about stuff like that. But it just completely grosses me out.
Yeah.
How we've even kissed or ever had children, I don't know. So on Wilbur's side, Melva's like squirting water into his mouth like you're supposed to do in these fights. And on Tony's side, she pours him
I know, it's so ridiculous.
sparkling water, then squeezes a lemon into it, and then sticks it in his giant mitt. And he's trying to drink.
I know, it's funny. It's surprised he didn't drop it.
I know. And it's like in a little wine glass, too, or like a goblet. So somehow Tony, musters up the courage and the fight in him, and he wins this boxing match against Thomas Hearns.
Right, of course he does. Of course Tony wins.
Of course.
I thought the first time I watched this, not first time, but we watched this recently before we started the podcast, and I thought Tony lost, so.
Oh. Yeah, maybe you just lost
Still don't
interest
remember.
after one of the first
That's
few
true,
punches.
too.
Yes. Much like I'm sure our children lost interest in this episode.
Yeah.
So they realize, I don't know how boxing works, but I guess they rate the 3 rounds, and then they determined who the winner was.
And, of course, Philly Fingers is the ref. So ridiculous.
So, yeah, they determined that Tony won. So Tony's very excited. He goes over and gives Wilbur high mitt, high five, a hug.
Yeah, something.
And then Wilbur's like, but tell me, what is in those brownies? So I guess Tony must have brought some kind of baked goods to the boxing match.
Well,
and he wants his brownie recipe.
But when Sid announces
right.
hobbies, it's wiffle ball, weather stripping, and baking brownies. So I think maybe Wilbur got interested when he heard that Tony can bake brownies.
Right.
I don't think he brought brownies to the event.
Oh, okay. So yes, that makes sense then. So Wilbur wants his brownie recipe. So they go off to the locker room. And he's like, oh, and if you like that, how about my grandma's eggplant parmesan? Tony Danza works in grandma's eggplant parmesan anytime he possibly can.
And how'd you go from brownies to eggplant parmesan?
I don't know, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
He just says it. Excuse me. And Angela is so proud. As much as she was opposed to all of this, she's so happy that he won. So now in the tag of the episode, Tony is kind of hanging out in the boxing ring afterwards. He's standing there. It looks like he's just sort of gazing and rethinking his night and how things went. Angela comes in. She was like, you were terrific. You were such a great success. And he's telling her, I really couldn't have done it without you, which is cute. And also just ridiculous that Angela helped train him for this fight.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know. but also cute that they bonded that way. And so Tony's like, there's something else I can't do without you. And she says, what? And he says, walk. So he's really standing there because he can't go anywhere else.
Right.
So she has to like put his arm around her so that she can help him walk out of the boxing ring. Right. And he says something about, I can still hear the roar of the crowd. The doctor says it'll probably be a few weeks before that goes away. And that is the end of the episode.
Yep.
So I think you really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I kind of did. Yeah. I was kind of surprised when I realized you didn't.
I don't know why I don't like this one that much. I think
you're just annoyed by Tony.
Right. I feel like it's just he wanted to do an episode with boxing in it, and so they did.
Yeah.
It just kind of seems sort of out of left field, but it's fine. It's a cute episode.
Yeah.
Well, so maybe we should just go ahead and rate it then.
Okay, I'll go first then. Yeah, I think it's like a 7. I didn't think I enjoyed, like I said, I enjoyed that they told the story kind of back from the end, started at the end and recounted what happened. I thought that was good. I thought, the nonsense stuff where the Philly Fingers is in the mix. I don't understand that, but I still thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah,
and there were a lot of little like corny jokes in it that I laughed at. And of course, Angela saying "yo," that was funny. I think that kicked it up to a 7 from a 6.5. No, it just was funny the way she says it. It was done very well. Yeah, I'll go with a 7 on that one.
Oh, there's a cat down there.
Hi, cat.
Okay, yeah, I gave it a 6. It really, I don't know why I don't enjoy this episode that much, but I just didn't. I'm sorry, and I want to also mention that the woman who played Melva.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I looked her up.
Yes, her name is Janet McLaughlin. She passed away in 2010 at the age of 77. She was in Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, I saw that she was a nurse or something in Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, a few episodes of Murder, She Wrote, ER. The soap Generations, an episode of Murphy Brown. Oh, and Cagney and Lacey. She was in quite a bit.
Santa Barbara, another soap opera.
Yeah, Santa Barbara. So probably by the time she did this episode, she had been working quite a bit. Yes, so that was her. And then, I'm sorry, there was one other thing I wanted to mention here. Oh, no. Okay, I'm sorry. That was all of them. So, yeah. So, I don't know. It just kind of seems a little odd of an episode. But I do love the fact that Tony and Angela work together. The montage part is probably my favorite part of the whole episode because the silly music and all the silly stares.
Yeah, it was silly.
And like Angela's outfit, the one where she finally stares him down there, that yellow, she's wearing like a yellow jump sweatsuit.
Yeah.
If you tie-dyed that, our kids would wear it today.
Yeah,
like
that's true. It's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, it's very in-style sweat suit she's wearing.
Sweat attire.
Yeah.
Who's the boss around here? Me? Or my mother? Or maybe it's you?
I went with Angela for the boss because she trained him and got him to get in the ring. Even though she's philosophically opposed to boxing, she made an exception.
Yeah, she got into it.
Because like first she put her foot down and said no. Then she got into it and agreed to train him, and she helped him get through it.
All right. I chose Philly Fingers.
I knew you were going to say it.
I'm getting too predictable.
Wilbur, Melva.
Philly Fingers, of course. He's the one who came up with the idea for boxing, and he was the referee.
Right.
So he's the boss.
All right.
No, I would definitely agree with you and say Angela.
Yo.
Yo. I just think that pretty much for the same. There wasn't like overwhelming like groundbreaking reason why she was the boss, but yes, she did help train them. She jumped on board, helped him train, convinced him to get in the ring, all that stuff. When he felt like he didn't want to get in the ring, she was like, "You got to get in there." Right. So, whatever, same thing, same reasons that you said.
There was one thing I wanted to bring up real quick, when we were talking earlier about how Sid looked like he was 60 when he did this episode.
Yeah.
So I was talking to some people earlier this week about Mrs. Rosini. Oh, because we got the script for the pilot. And in the pilot, it describes Mrs. Rosini as 40-something. And this is the pilot episode when they are talking to Miss Rosini at the beginning when they leave.
Right.
So I was like, seriously? So I looked up Rhoda Gemignani. She was 43 when she shot that.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm 44. So Rhoda Gemignani as Mrs. Rosini is 1 year younger than I am now.
Man, she looks like she could have been your mother. There.
I mean, they obviously dressed her, I think, two things. Like, people maybe just looked a little older then.
Yeah, I think so.
And they dressed people to look older. Yeah. Because there was another parallel like that where somebody showed a picture of Tom Cruise and then somebody showed a picture of, was it Wilford Brimley from the movie Cocoon? And they're the same age.
Wilford Brimley looked old from...
I think it's Wilford Brimley, right? Is he in Cocoon?
Yeah, isn't he? Yeah, he's the one. He looked old forever.
Yeah. So, yes. But also, just that now... I mean, we watched this as children, and now... But then again, we watched Grease, and I thought they were teenagers, and they were like 37, so...
No, not 30s. 37.
It's around there.
Well, yeah, I mean, when John Travolta was actually 24.
Okay.
When Grease came out.
Yeah.
He was the youngest, I think. I mean, I don't know the entire cast, but the main group. Olivia Newton-John was 30. Stockard Channing was 34.
Okay, yes.
Which ridiculous. 34 playing an 17-year-old high school student. Kind of ridiculous.
I know. And then, like, the one guy who plays Sonny, I think he's, like, 32.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know, in high school.
I know, but that's what we... I mean, that
but
is
then it
what
didn't
I thought
matter.
a teenager looked like.
Right, like, it didn't matter. Especially, when we were kids.
Okay, so you can reach us at Who's the Boss Podcast on Instagram, Who's the Boss Pod 1 on Twitter, the Who's the Boss Podcast page on Facebook, or go to anchor.fm/WTB podcast, and there you can leave us a voice message, and we will play it. Mm-hmm. That might be a
guarantee. I mean, unless you're just like completely annihilating the show and using a lot of curses, then we probably won't play. Maybe we'll still play it.
And I'll just bleep out all the curses.
That's true.
Okay, so the next episode, hang on.
What?
The next episode's a good one.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's the proposal.
Yes, I kind of remember this episode.
Which
means we watched it recently. Probably.
Yeah. This is when Jeffrey proposes to Angela. And I'm going to have some notes about Angela in this episode.
Okay.
Kind
of
annoys me.
All right. Oh, boy. Okay.
All right.
I look forward to that.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and give a big thumbs up and tell all your friends. And maybe you can tell your grandma, your mother, and your sister or brother. Maybe have no siblings. Tell your dog and cats. Bye.